Hello, everybody. How you guys doing? Let me know if you can hear me okay and see me okay and all those types of things. I'm having to play with the software here, so yeah, just goofing around a little bit. Trust you guys are all good. Hang on, let's get another one of these animations going. They're pretty fun. Let's go here. It's Valentine's Day, right? So, well, it is on the other side of the world. So, thank you everyone for joining me today. See you guys. It's great to see you guys. Yeah, what's happening out there, guys? Morning, brother Will. Great to see you, sir. Thank you so much for joining. Yeah, pretty nice day out there, apparently, down here in New Zealand. And yeah, got, man, I'll tell you what, guys, far out. I've been busy lately. You've probably seen all the stuff getting constantly pushed on the Facebook and the Telegram and on the YouTube and stuff. I've been doing heaps. I got another live stream with some friends today, and then I got the Bard in tomorrow. But I'll run through some stuff as we go through the Hangout. But yeah, just want to say thanks, everyone. So great to see you guys. Hey, what's up, Randy? Great to see you, mate. Thanks for joining in. And yeah, bro, I know Wellington's just man, like there's lots to like about Auckland, but man, I tell you, this the Wellington summers just because they're far more manageable. Kind of miss them actually. Let's see if I can just pull a bit of my shininess down, and there we go. So, everyone. Let's see if I can just sort that out a bit. There we go. Cool. Yeah, far out. So yeah, I've been a busy man. I've been so busy. I actually wanted to prep like a full on show for today with a whole bunch of topics and images and all sorts of things. But you know what I just felt like doing is just like, nah, I'm just gonna hit the go button. Let's hang out. Guys, just have a chat, bring your questions, I'll do my best. And I've got the books here, various books. We can talk about Hermetics, we can talk about Reiki, we can talk about Qigong, we can talk about just stuff. There's no shortage of stuff to talk about. So yeah, thanks everyone for stopping in. And let's pull some of this up just to do a bit of a thing while everyone's just settling in. All right, welcome. Yes, please check out the Substack. I've just loaded a whole bunch of more stuff on there. This is the new article that I've written. I want cleaner signal for creativity. Seems to be reasonably well received. There's a few hearts on there. That's nice. Getting back into some regular writing. I've got more articles coming to complement your Hermetic journey, your Reiki journey, your life journey, I guess. You know, I when I write stuff, I just kind of just start the process, and even though the original title may infer something, it'll maybe modify itself throughout the course of the creative process. But yeah, so I've got the a few of the YouTube videos up here, and one of the reasons why I put these on Substack is because number one, there's no ads. Number two, you can watch or listen it. You know, you can listen to it with your screen off. You have to pay YouTube to do that. So you can just listen. You can turn it into an audio podcast, I believe. Now, if I just click on one of these and go, no, not that one. If I just click on one of these, you'll see on this left-hand side here, I've got these two options. I can switch to audio or switch to video. So that's pretty cool. And you can listen on the Substack app. Substack app is actually pretty good. Like, I'm impressed. Like, it's a whole another ecosystem. You've got the emails that I send you guys, which will take you to the desktop app or the web browser version on your phone. But then there's the actual app itself. It's getting better too, actually, I have to say. but yeah, it's on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and that. And yeah, and it's just stuff like that. So what have you guys been up to? Tell me what's been happening. It's just been full on here. That's all I've got really. I had a great catch up with Bob. We talked about his magic camp. His Cellular Magic Workshop starts on Monday, I believe, and that's Monday 17th. And so that was a really fun talk. Bob and I haven't had a chat for far out. I can't remember the last time he was on the channel. I think it was on one of the Barred In episodes or with Mark Stavish. And so it was just myself and him, and we talked about the Magic Camp, obviously, but also talked about a bunch of other things too that tie into it. So it's always great to catch up with Brother Bob. He's got so much knowledge and experience to share. And he's hitting it hard, guys. He's in amongst it. He's sharing the good information. And he's blunt about it. I love it. So and also, I'm getting better at sort of making the Substack interactives a bit more, I guess, interactive and interesting too. So I love your feedback, guys. I'm very grateful. So thank you for supporting the channel. What else did we do? So last weekend, I think it was last weekend. Was it the weekend before? No, it was last weekend. James from Perseus and myself, we did something a little different. We decided to do something I guess you might consider to be, I guess, kind of we went into a bit of conspiracy-related conversation, and mainly to do with government projects that or declassified government projects that are verifiable. You can look these things up yourself, and I put some examples up there as well throughout the course of the conversation. And we were talking about let's see if I can find one. Everything from Project Stargate, which is essentially one of the government's remote viewing declassified projects. And we kind of talked about everything from they did it for 20 years, I think it was, and said, nah, there's nothing going on here. Pretty hard to keep getting funding year after year if you're not getting results. I just kind of think we talked about it, and we talked about remote viewing versus, say, mental wandering or, astral projection, whatever you want to call it. Not projection of the astral body, just to be clear. And and just talking about the remote viewing stuff is, I know they have teams, people doing it. I've had a play with it, but I have to say there's nothing. It's very. I just kind of feel that these these sort of declassified things are they kind of hint at and suggest something, and then they pull back. It's like one step forward, two step back, or something like that. It's like a flimsy token gesture to say, yeah, we had a look at something, but we're not shouting it from the rooftops. Kind of reminds me of when you talk about when we talk about can you imagine so someone's in the laboratory, and they've just discovered, or the lab, or the tech room, or the engineering room, or the workshop, or the whatever, and they've made an incredible discovery. They're like, oh my gosh, do you like something that's world changing, right? Do you think they're going to run out on the street and go, hey everyone, I found the cure for this, or I found levitation technology, or I found there's a way these things are managed, and that's why I think you get a lot of tech companies constantly sort of canvassing the tech environments, buying up companies, and recruiting people who are shown to display rare genius and get them on an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement. And I haven't got it up here, but there was I watched this documentary a while back about this one chap who went into an old library where they've got microfiche, and he was searching through, like, I guess what you might call newspaper clippings from like the 1800s in the US. And excuse me, he found hundreds of these articles from all over the US, actually, black and white ones, of people finding giant skeletons on their properties. So they rang up the local authorities, and then largely it was the Smithsonian that would come around, collect up all the evidence, and then take them away. And so as these things were being reported, they were given a place to report them to. They had a capture mechanism set up. And so, over time, these things, as they were being found, in the early stages, they just started being sort of harvested up and then out of public mind, out of public sight and mind, and so on. But, there's this thing, and like I said, it's not too edgy, because we're all aware that, like, there's discoveries being made that push the timeline of, human technological civilization back. We look at those pyramids and things and go, I don't know, man, 5,000 years old. Antediluvian cultures prior to the Great Flood that existed, with high technology. Göbekli Tepe, Gunung Padang. Very interesting. But anyway, I digress. James and I had a fun hangout. One thing that I think that was very valuable to talk about was how these kind of tie back into our own personal practice. Because for example, if we just take the Hermetic material, the Franzbarten stuff, right? It's a model. It's a perceptual model, as Brother Joey Nishad would say. I love that term. Perceptual model for making sense of reality. Okay, it's a testable model. Okay, and we have these faculties that we can build so that we can see deeper into the conversation. What it might appear at a superficial glance, turns out that's the tip of the iceberg, and we can go much deeper. And we just have to train and school our various internal faculties so that we can encounter new resolutions of data within familiar or existing points of interest. And through developing these internal faculties, especially starting with the spirit and being able to mentally transfer and then explore things, new information reveals itself. And once we encounter it, we have to sort of, become accustomed to how that data presents itself, because initially it's not always going to come in a familiar form. It's like, when you have your first out-of-body experience and you're walking through a wall. My experience is that when I had that first one where I got pulled out of my body and I'm lying halfway through my bed and halfway through my wardrobe door, I push myself up and I'm rising up through the bed frame, through the mattress. And as I'm moving up, I'm experiencing everything inside those things. I'm experiencing the box section of the slat bed frame. And I'm like, wow, I can see the metal wall, the box section, and then the space in between. And then I'm moving up, and then up through the mattress, and I could see the springs and the foam as I was moving through it. Then I'm walking through a wall, and I'm seeing the layers of the wall. And it's just, this is a new type of informational encounter. And it's like, wow, if you haven't experienced information like this, where you're seeing it and feeling it at the same time, it can be, quite, I guess, for some people, they might find it a bit, not startling, but a bit surprising. And so the more you expose yourself to these new layers of reality, the more you become more settled and comfortable and familiar with it. And once those initial types of, peak experiences where you're like, whoa, once they sort of normalize and equalize and neutralize almost, then we can start really exploring the environment. It's like when you take the kid to the toy shop and they're just like, oh my gosh, and they're running around. If you're in there for a couple of hours, after a while the kid will become a little bit immune to the shiny things, perhaps. Maybe. I could be wrong. I don't have kids. I just remember being one. So yeah, so this was a really fun chat anyway. James is great. He's a brother on the path. He's a colleague and a friend, and he's got a wealth of knowledge too. And so yeah, it was really fun to talk about all of these sorts of like different. Here it is. A 20-year, $20 million basic research program. 20 years, $20 million. Oh yeah, and we looked at some movies as well that really go into it. Like one of them's The Manchurian Candidate. And I'll just pull that banner off. Where are we? If you haven't seen The Manchurian Candidate, there's a newer version of the movie available starring Denzel Washington and Liev Schreiber, and that is definitely worth checking out. Like, that's a good watch. The other one was this one here, which is the MK Ultra movie on Netflix, and it stars Anson Mount, who plays what's his name, Captain Pike on Star Trek: Strange New Worlds. And so this is the adaptation of where are we? See if I can find a. Here he is, Anson Mount, CIA. Yeah, so this is a TV show based on the MK Ultra conversation that we hear about through various information sources. And from my understanding, it originally sort of stemmed from the end of World War II, when the I'll just call them the German scientists. Got to be careful of certain words we use here on YouTube. Bless YouTube. Thank you, YouTube. I love you. Thank you for letting me put my stuff on here and get creatively. I have to be creative. It forces me to. But anyway, so Operation Paperclip. Some of you might be aware of that. A program to absorb and assimilate all the German scientists at the end of World War II into the United States military-industrial complex, because basically, apparently, as it goes, they didn't want the Soviets getting them. So these German scientists had carte blanche they were going out into the world and collecting artifacts from ancient sites, and they were exploring occult opportunities within the occult, and they didn't have the same kind of maybe restrictions and controls that we have, or we had back then. They were like, well funded, and obviously there's a lot more that goes on with this too. There's talk about how both sides of the war was funded by the same group, these kinds of things. But anyway, so that was just that was a fun chat, and we're definitely going to do another one, maybe in the next few weeks, and we're going to go into it a bit deeper. There's so much to go into on this topic. Obviously, most of you guys have probably had a good scan across the YouTube universe, and plenty of people talking about stuff. Want to keep it as grounded as we can and as verifiable as we can, so you guys can hit the links and go and make up your own minds on things. But yeah, there's lots of stuff that's almost too far out to sort of have a real discussion about. It's fun to talk about things, and it's always fun to speculate. But as hermeticists, we want to keep it grounded and and things we can verify. Oh, Oh, hey. Oh, dude. Thank you. Always lovely. Did anyone watching feel an increase in magic energy around Christmas time? I definitely have been noticing an uptick in some kind of ambient felt activity. And especially when there's like a full moon rocking, like that just jacks everything up, especially during an astral event like Christmas, where it's all feel goods and things like that. But yeah, I mean, there's obviously a lot of busy people and a lot of intensity around this time of the year as well. So around that time of the year. But yeah, what do you guys? Have you guys got anything to add? Thank you, Will, for bringing that up. There are points in the year when there's holidays, where there are seasonal events, where there are, we remember things that happened in history. There might be something going on in our personal lives, maybe in a club or an association we're part of. And when we hook into that, we've got a bridge with it, and that there's a two-way energy exchange there, and so like this, if everyone in the local club is getting hyped up and ready for the next kind of thing, whatever that is, let's see, you're going to notice it, without a doubt, you are going to notice it. I'm trying to find, here it is here. Oops. Okay. All right, let's just bring this up. Okay. No, it won't let me make it any smaller. Probably perfect enough anyway. So yeah, as far as let's see if I can trim this back. Month, 1 month. Days. 10 days. Here we go. 25 December 2024. So I'll just bring this up. I saw your message there, Will. And so this is what the sky was looking like, I guess you might say, during 25 December last year. We'll have a poke through this in a moment. But yeah, no, at this time of year, Black Friday sales, people getting nuts busy, getting ready, putting pressure on themselves for this commercial holiday that happens. It's commercialized sort of time of the year. Personally, I struggle doing social activities on that day. I don't know. There's a bunch of reasons, and we might end up talking about that in one of the conversations with James as well, or someone else. The nature of, I guess you might call them calendar events that are highly charged because of the mass population egregores nudged by, just through media and advertising. And it's like here in New Zealand we have an event called Coca-Cola Christmas in the Park. For those of you that aren't aware, Santa Claus that we currently enjoy in the red suit, that whole shebang was a marketing ploy by Coca-Cola back in the early 20th century. And in New Zealand we have this event called Christmas in the Park, and it's a huge event in Auckland. It's like, last time I went there, a very long time ago, there's about 250,000 people at this one event. I mean, it's nuts. And when it's fine when you get there because everyone sort of shows up, but once it finishes, when you exit this event, you've got to hold on to your friends and just wait for the crowd to disperse because everyone's walking through each other. But it's funny because it's like when you look at the signs, and it's an incredible event. Like I know some of the musicians that used to run it, and I've met the guy who was the main musical director, exceptional musician. But it's like this. It's that we've got a big sign, Coca-Cola, Christmas in the park, Coca-Cola, Christmas in the park. It's like, yeah, there's a bit of Christmassy something going on, but it's all red signs and stuff. So, that time of year, everyone's feeling the push for holidays, end of work, end of school. Kids wanting presents. There's all of this sort of like concentrated energy. So yeah, I mean, if you didn't feel it, I'd be surprised. But Will's talking about magic energy, and I've got a friend that I hang out with from time to time, and this guy is just a power station. Like he's got the quantity, man. I can't hang out with this dude, and I get a residual sort of. I get a peak, and then I get a residual die off, sort of hanging out with this guy because he's just such a full on dude. But yeah, he's a good magic amplifier. Oh, hello there, 709 Kali Hakate. That's it. Okay. Is that Kali is that like a mixture between Kali and Hecate? Planetary alignments? Wow, there's always something planetary going on, isn't there? It's funny, these things are still moving around us. We just don't see them during the daytime so much. Let's have a look here. So, let's pull that around there. There we go. What was going on Christmas Day? So I'll just pull Will's thing off here. So just to be straight up, guys, neither am I an astronomer nor an astrologer. What I do have is I have some tech here, and let's see if we can make some sense of this. So the tech, this is just a free demo version of Astro Gold on my Mac. It's actually a pretty good program. All right, let's have a look. So what do we got here? So I've got all the outer planets in here, but we have Mars and Pluto across from each other. Nothing was really in conjunction. Lots of squares and things going on, though, because they're all kind of evenly spread out. In fact, that's another way of looking at it. Like regardless of the order of them, and like I said, I'm not an astrologer, but we can see that generally speaking, they're all kind of just spread out there. Mars is a bit by himself there. But yeah, I mean, I can put the image up, guys, but I can't really give too much honest feedback on it because, well, far out. Astrology is a whole nother field. Because I'm a practicer, I want to be practicing. I got to keep learning, though, right? But that was a snapshot of what was going on the day. So either side of that, like if we go 10 days either side. So let's go 10 days before. You can see the moon obviously moves pretty fast, and so does the sun. But yeah, nothing. Yeah, so you can kind of see that. Oh yeah, here we go. They're starting to cluster a bit around here. But like I said, sorry guys, I can't really give you much of a useful interpretation of that. However, tomorrow morning we are having another edition of. Wait for it. You ready? Dun, dun, dun. That's right. Got another edition of another episode, I should say, of the Bard Inn. Now, for those of you who haven't joined us for one of these, this is essentially a live panel hangout, and I'll get to the astrology conversation in a sec. Bard Inn, love it. Thanks, man. I appreciate you, Will. Thank you so much, bro. So we've got we've got another live panel tomorrow. It's going to be mostly familiar faces. I think I filled out the participants in here. We've got Didi and Armand from Chi School. So they are both, well, Armand was a student of Mark Rasmus, and they both have, Didi and Armand have a wonderful YouTube channel, which I've put here. You can click on that. And he's very generous with his Tai Chi and Qigong and Hermetic stuff, especially Tai Chi and Qigong. Very generous, and very well made too. And so they've got courses and things. And I've got David Paul Coleman, who's the astrologer, well-known astrologer in the Barden community. And so he's going to give us a little bit of a weather report tomorrow, which will be fun. And so if you've got any astrology questions, he's a guy to ask. And so we're going to be, me too, bro. Me too. Very lucky that these people were keen to come on. These are people who are willing to come on, put their faces on a camera and talk about, these sacred sciences, essentially. And, there's a lot of people that will never come on the camera. And there's maybe some who will come on who will go on with they won't put their face on. But, pretty lucky to have some people in the community who are happy to come on. I'm so grateful. So grateful. And like I said, it's and I've got obviously Philip Harris Smith. He's a bit of a regular and a good fella who like to hang out with Phil, and so he'll be back on. So it's a bit of a smaller crew. A lot of people away. Victoria's away, and Bob's away, and I think Clint was busy. But hey, it's Valentine's Day and there's stuff going on, and so reach out there. But we might be able to find some other new guests to come on as well. I'll probably do another one in a couple of weeks, maybe in the evening here or the afternoon here in New Zealand, so we can get some people from Australia, Southeast Asia, that sort of strip of land. Really looking forward to this one. It's been a while. I think the last one we did was, it was a while ago. It was a good maybe 7 or 8 months ago, I think. It was it was a good while back. And so we want to kick the year off with that. And I've got a bunch of questions, but where it's really at, guys, is when you show up and ask your questions. The panel's there. I've got some placeholder questions, but when you guys ask the questions, awesome. And then afterwards, I go back, I download the video and I chop it up and then I make it into smaller ones and then I put that out there. So, a bit easier to, you can listen to the snippet versions. All right. So, that's happening. And like I said, David Paul Coleman will be there, and he is, an astrology wizard, figuratively and literally. So, bring your questions. I've got this thing too now. You guys can book me for a variety of services. This is sort of me just putting myself out there a little more on the global scene. So you can hire me for a variety of services. I'm playing around with different prices, things like that. Pretty available at the moment. I'm also going to use this. I'll be setting this up soon. Essentially, I'll be running some online classes. Probably we'll start with some basic, I'll be hosting a Reiki Shoden class, which is the beginning teachings, and just seeing how much interest there is for there. So we'll start up that, and whether it's a 10-week course or even just a drop-in, drop-out dojo where we just sit together and we work through our practice stream and fellowship. When we sit together, there's an amplification, especially in a live environment. There's a sort of an astral kind of intensity that's not really there on the replay. When you're in a live situation and you're hanging out, you kind of, there's a participation of a part of you that's not necessarily present if you watch the replay. So, but yeah, so anyway, so you can book me and do stuff there. And let's see here. What else have I been up to? So, oh yes, for those of you who are on my Substack, please go sign up for my Substack. Why? Whole bunch of reasons why. No ads. You can listen with your phone off. It's better for me if you want to support me, like as a paid subscription. I think it's like a coffee a month. YouTube's pretty rugged, guys. But, we're trying to invest back into the channel, into the online dojo temple. I appreciate the ashram needs some work and some love, but trying to get busier here on the Substack. So I just put out a mid-February update, and so I've got the new article at the top here. Creativity, man. Just another thing to help fuel and feed into the other things that you're interested in. Just having a creative process in your life, whatever it is. Okay, so here's today's thing that we're doing right now. Doodly-doo. Yay. The Bard Inn. Obviously, that's happening tomorrow morning. That's at like 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, New Zealand time. I'll be up and at 'em. And then I've got this show today with my friends Greg and Sol. We're going to talk about spirit guides. And so this is quite fun. Greg and Sol are both experiences like myself. And so we're going to talk about things. I tend to lean more on, coming from my background as a Hermetic practicer, and also as my experiences with the Reiki table, and just experiences I've had. But one thing I'll be talking about this is vetting incoming data. I think it's an important topic because we can get inspirations and intuitions, and sometimes they may not be from sources that we think they're from. And so just monitoring when that data comes in, and just going, okay, well, before I go and sell the house, I might just have a sit with this, and just because the data comes in clean, whatever, you get a message come through anyway. But we'll talk about that in the conversation today. So that's this afternoon. I think it's about 5:30 New Zealand time. And I just did this chat with Rick Miller. We did this earlier in the week. Oh, that's one that I haven't uploaded to the Substack yet. That's coming. I've got about another 3 videos to sort of put up there and make all pretty for you awesome Substack supporter people. Thank you so much. I actually just want to quickly say, I know that getting people or encouraging people to go outside of a familiar flat platform like Facebook or YouTube, it's like another thing for my phone, another thing. Those of you who are liking what I do, who make the effort to go outside of your familiar types of platforms, I am really grateful. Like, that's awesome, because these big platforms, they get a lot of, basically they're just sharing your stuff, okay, and so they're not making stuff, they're just using your stuff. I'm not saying Substack's any different, but they're a bit kinder to the people that are making the stuff. Okay, so future humans versus aliens. This was an interesting conversation. We went all over the place. Rick's a pretty interesting guy. He's got a background in a lot of different, I guess you might call them methodologies, modalities, and understandings. I do believe he's got 4 doctorates, and 1 or 2 of them might be honorary. But this is really interesting. He's got a background as a physicist and a magician, and he's written so many books. I've got about 7, I think. I don't think I've got any handy, but he's got some excellent ones, and we talk about his books in there. And then, of course, I did a chat with my friend Solretta on her channel just recently. Oh no, that was on the Mice on Jupiter channel, and they're really cool audience over on that channel. Really lovely people, and we we were talking about all sorts of stuff. We talked about planetary energies and things like that. Yeah, it was good fun. Soul's lovely. Very kind of her to have me on. So, we're just, that's on Mice on Jupiter, which has got a reasonably large subscription audience size. And so we'll be doing a part 3 next week. And then, of course, we've talked about it, Magic Camp. Yay, Magic Camp. This one time at Magic Camp, I put that up. Nobody seemed to get the joke. Never mind. And obviously, we've talked about Cosmic Confidential, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah, it's been a busy week, and there's more, and that's all good. All right, let's see what's happening here. Let's just pull that down. All right, let's pull some comments up. What do we got here? Is IIH worth it? Well, there's only one way to find out, really, isn't there? I mean, I can talk about it, but, is the book worth it? It's quite a thick book. If you list out the exercises in this book, right, there's a lot of stuff in this book you don't need to do. There's a lot of there's lots of toys in this book, or if you want to call them that, or experiments and things you can do. But I tell you what, the personal benefits I've experienced from even the early stages of this book are just profound. Even those first 3 mental exercises that you do in step 1, like, some of them are, could be considered quite standard, but I think once again, to highlight the value of this book, it's concise and succinct. It's an aggregate. It's a compendium. It's a compilation. Let's put it over here. It's a compilation of a lot of practices that you find in many other systems. And so it's kind of like sort of like almost like your Magic 101 in a sense. I just haven't seen, after years of searching, a sort of a concise collection of and a sequential methodology. Now, it doesn't mean you have to do it that way. You can go against what Mr. Barden recommends, which is other ways of practicing them in different orders and things like that. There is an intelligent way of taking that approach. Jumping around exercises is not what I'm talking about here. But anyways, but mapping out, some of the exercises, a common approach is just to do the first 3 steps together. You'll get things like your relationship to food and water and breathing and vital force accumulation, your posture, your concentration, some basic lifestyle adjustments about how you sort of experience the day and move through it. You're going to work on your visualization development, your ability to concentrate on multiple things at once. You start off working with what you've got. You learn to discover and manage the internal mental desktop, clear it, and then bring things in, create things. You develop the mind's eye screen interface, if you will. Your ability to, the hearing interface, the imaginative or the visual or the visualization faculty it's very good. And you'll find these same exercises. You'll find some guy that specializes in concentration, one does memory, and one does this and one does that. You'll see a lot of them, a lot of influencers and people in the self-development world who will focus in. They'll sort of hammer down on 1 or 2 of these things, but this is like a collection of them. So, sorry, just to finish answering your question there, Troy, later. Yeah, I will say yes. And when you supplement it with Mark Rasmus and his body of work, it's just, you'll start making progress pretty damn quick. Oh yeah, and the element breathing, of course, too. The introspection in the first 3 stages, the element breathing, And yeah, there's plenty to play with in this, and you notice it. You've just got to do a little bit every day. At the least, you got to get that momentum going. Get that going, and that starts to compound. And get good at journaling. Journaling's the other thing. Journaling is just a growth accelerator, an amplifier. Doesn't get enough sort of attention, in my view. All right, now here's the question. So somebody brought up, where was it? I'm starting Korea. Okay, a Korea. Now I have heard of this, but I haven't looked at it. And okay, Korea is a step-by-step magical system made by Josephine McCarthy. Oh, I see. Okay, this is good to know. Let's bring it up. Okay, so advancing magical training with integrity and authenticity in a way that is accessible regardless of income, race, or gender. Perfect. Okay, so these are these kinds of online institutions that are just so wonderful. Somebody's gone. Somebody must be in it. It's probably likely in a good position to be able to create a web page, a website, and create all these materials and course contents. And and they've got a donation option there too, which is great. But yeah, this is great. This looks great. I have heard of this, but I haven't sort of looked into it. So. Okay. Interesting. Okay. I mean, what I would do is that I would line them up next to each other and go, okay. So it's not so much, when the exercises are explained, it's like, do this. It's like, okay, well, what is this exercise leading me towards? So I would line them up and go through them and go, oh, okay, yep, okay, that makes sense, that makes sense, that makes sense. Because there are sort of milestones and point destinations of arrival and points of arrival that we see in the various systems. Like, you can, work the orbits as opposed to doing, say, the elemental equilibrium in Barden's book. But yeah, I it's curious. Thank you so much for sharing that. Maybe I should have a look at this. Yeah, I think that if you if you follow Barden's book, it's a long haul. That's why I love the work of Mark Rasmus and Bob Smith and Jake and that, who are, bringing in ways to sort of, especially for people who maybe want to do like 3 or 4 hours a day, there's ways to approach it. And also using the clairsentience development technique, that's been real helpful. So, you're bringing your Tai Chi in. So when you're practicing, say, the mother letters or the 4 elements, you're bringing in body mechanics and it just adds another layer of reality to it, and it just it's kind of like it's kind of reminds me a bit small, there we go, kind of reminds me, like when you go to the gym, imagine if there was no music, right? uh, I can do it without music. I'm fine. I'm not much of a music dude nowadays, but some people, like, they need the ACDC on so they can get into it, but it's loosely analogous to doing body mechanic movements while you're practicing your elements, like, stretching the fascia open, while you're doing fire element, and then pulling in for the water element. And then, you're adding more felt sensations, because obviously there's a coolness with the water element and a contraction that we emulate with pulling the body, and you'll start to feel those electric and magnetic fluids, the elements of those within the body movement. Okay. Okay, that's good to know. Yeah, well, I mean, I guess let's define the term psychopomp. Okay, we'll go for good old Wikipedia. Yeah, so psychopomps, the guide of souls, are creatures, spirits, angels, demons, or deities in many religions whose responsibility is to escort newly deceased souls from Earth to the afterlife. So, one thing that kind of can pop up along this journey is that there's a good chance you're going to meet a spirit trapped between two worlds, if you will, or a ghost or an entity that hasn't moved on. And you can use the skills that unfold into your awareness through the development process to sort of help them find their way. And I don't have a lot of personal experience with this. I'm quite blessed, actually. I'm not in a hurry to sort of overpower, get too much, I guess. There's a lot to explore, and there's a lot of distractions as well. There's the wowee of the astral plane. When you go looking, it's pretty amazing, right? And the various stratas of it. But there's a utility to be discovered there. It's not just look at me. It's like a lucid dream. I'm flying. It's like, yep, okay. Once you fill your boots with all the fun stuff, I guess, then it's like, okay, well, how is this useful? But yeah, as far as psychopomp work goes, uh, being able to see them and then being able to, help reconnect them to the thing that they were heading to, you know. It's basically help them move to the next point. They can get sort of stuck, can't they? Oh, hello, Agatha. Thank you so much for joining us. Yeah, the Barden Companion. That's the Rawn Clark book. I'm assuming you're talking about. Very helpful. Anything that helps you understand Barden, because Barden is not necessarily an easy read. It's a translation. There are some things that maybe didn't get translated that well, and it's written in 1950s sort of vernacular, if you will, or parlance. Whoop. And and like I said, it's been translated from a sort of a European 1950s sort of paradigm, whatever we want to call it. And yeah, you might find it challenging in some ways. It's very dense, but it's still very good, completely usable. I would say look for the IIH PDFs that are available. There's some that are very excellent. You can use that as a sort of a to have on the side. They're very useful, especially the one for Key to the True Kabbalah. There's a really great PDF out there that helps to sort of organize and give you, because there's a lot of mistakes in KTQ and or things that don't line up. And so it's good to have that insight into that. Oh, how interesting. How interesting indeed. Mark who? Hang on, we'll put him up on here. Oh my gosh, man, you guys are pouring the comments in. My gosh, this is awesome. Mark Rasmus. YouTube. YouTube. Okay. Oh. Yeah, so you want to go check out the Mark Rasmus YouTube channel. It's one of the best things you're going to discover in your time here. Hands down. So generous, so much, like there's must be over 1,000 videos on there now. And then he's got all the stuff you can buy as well. But his free stuff is plenty. Yes, he is awesome. And we're very lucky to have someone like Mark who's just so relaxed, laid back, and just does the thing. It's his life, you know. Having full-time practices and teachers out there, you know, to bring us stuff like Mark does. Man, you know, go buy a course, go buy one of his videos or something like that, just to put a feed on the brother's table so he can carry on searching and practicing and sharing his knowledge. I mean, that's what he's done. He became a teacher. I know there's a bit of hostility towards people who are charging. There's plenty of people who aren't charging, you know. But some of the people who are charging are like, they're living the life and bringing us some of the best fruits. I got no problem with it, but that's just me. There we go. I'm going to make me a bit bigger. All right. Let's see. Oh my gosh, man, you guys are bringing them through faster than I can put up. Oh, okay. Oh, wow. That's interesting. Okay. Far out. So that's interesting. Yeah, cool, man. That's good. Yeah, you know, the activating the self-correcting potential within an activity like blessing the water, you know, like the body has an intelligence about it. It knows how to sort itself out. However, you know, there's it sometimes needs a little bit of a nudge, doesn't it? So that's really great. I'm so pleased for you. I mean, that's a wonderful validation. My gosh. Yeah, that's it. So yeah, a lot of them don't end up going on with their journey. They get stuck, and so they need some help. That's literally a job description, guys. If you're looking for some work to help out the great work on those chops. You know, that's a great service. You know, helping discarnate entities moved on. Oh, good to know. Thank you. Hmm. Are you talking about IIH? Man, you'd be lucky to get a copy nowadays. If you can get one, there's some on Trade Me here in New Zealand, but they want like $300 or $400 for them, man. Yeah, it's pretty nuts. The libraries don't have copies. The Auckland Library has a copy of The Practice of Magical Evocation, but that's about it. I get that out regularly because it's a nice big hard copy one. Um, okay. MG, any help advice on pore breathing as per Barton's IIH? Don't know if I'm doing it right or wrong. Awesome question. Okay, so what's going on here? Well, first of all, I'm going to bring myself into the middle of the screen here. So, where are we? Phil Rice, that's me. No, not that. That. Overlay animation. Phil Rice. Here we. Oh no. Geez, what's going on here? Let's just get rid of it. Phil Rice. Okay, here we go. All right, so here I am in the middle of the screen. Hello, everybody. Oh. Okay. All right. So, pore breathing is the game changer. Well, it's definitely one of the game changers because what you're doing, in one sense, you are activating global awareness of the body. You are moving from a purely pulmonary breathing to a global pore breathing status. Now, you may recall from certain movies and from art shows. So let's use that. So if you ever watch the art shows where they do full body painting, they will leave a square, usually on the back, where there's no paint. And this is, important because the body needs to breathe through the pores. Now, what's interesting is that if you watch that movie, I think was it Dr. No or Goldfinger? I think it might have been Goldfinger. I was going to say Goldmember for a moment there, but it's not that one. There's a James Bond movie where the model is completely painted in gold and she's on the bed and dead because basically she suffocates. The skin suffocates. And it's interesting because when a diver obviously wears a full body suit and then goes underwater, the same thing doesn't happen. There's oxygen in the water, right? So pore breathing, it looks like it's a bit of a thing, just from what I've mentioned there, just a loose bunch of validations there. So, so one way to help your pore breathing out is that, you want to be convinced that there's something going on. So, for example, if I just find a piece of paper here. I won't use that one. Let's go for find a piece of paper here. Okay, here we go. So here's a piece of paper, right? Okay, and this is your skin. And when you breathe in and when you breathe out, it's a membrane. It moves back and forth. You want to feel or aim to notice the sensation of the membrane of your skin moving and flexing as you pull in the breath. The breath catches it, the skin catches it, or the pores catch it and pull it in like a sail. Now, obviously, your whole body's not going to necessarily look like it's deflating and inflating. It's a sensation-based sort of, remember, we're working with very subtle things. And so, the experience that you encounter is going to be subtle. But a great way to do it is to start with the most sensitive parts of your body. You might not start with your knees, for example, because, they've got lots of, they're just not something that you do stuff with regularly. Like, the most sensitive parts of your body, what are they? Well, your hands are pretty sensitive. You can, use them to feel very subtle things. You're trying to screw a screw in, or you're trying to, pluck something, or you're just kind of feeling something. You may even use the palm of your hand. There's less skin there. There's a bit more sensitivity there. The other one's your head. Now, in Reiki, we do a set of hand positions. Oh, hang on, my camera's gone out of focus. Let's pull that back in. Yeah. So, what we do is we start with a local position, like, say, the head or the hands, okay? And we do this exercise called building the ball. Okay, and that builds up the energy sensitivity. Most of you guys should know this one. Yep, sweet, there it is. Okay, now when you couple the feeling of the energy as you're building it between your hands with the pore breathing, then you're adding a thickness to the mental activity of pore breathing, okay? Because what we're doing first is that we're building things at a mental level initially, in many cases, before they become a felt thing. Before it moves down the chain of manifestation, we start feeling things. First, we have to have the mental kind of construct of what we're doing sort of well fleshed out. So, if you're trying to visualize, everything in all the surface areas of your body going, as you breathe in, it's not really how it works. There's a pull and a tug on each one of the pores when you pull in. But when you practice doing the building the ball, it adds a tangibility to it. Like, you can really feel it, right? And so what you can do is when you're looking for global awareness rather than localized awareness might be your hands, or you put your hands between your head, over your head, and you start doing the building the ball there. You'll notice that. Or even just put your hands up by your head and just start breathing in and out of your head, not the brain, just the head. And just like I said, at a mental level, you just want to see the vital force moving in and out. Don't worry about feeling it just yet. That's the next process, okay? What you might find is that the more you just mentally visualize this air moving in and out, or this vital force, it'll start to get a feeling about it. Now, the other way to do it, of course, if you want global awareness, is to connect the mass of the body. So you do this with your hands, and then you start pulling the energy in through your feet like suction cups. And then on the exhale, you're pushing it out, electric, and you're pushing it out. And you start getting that suction cup feeling on your feet. And that will join your hands and your feet. And then you might do something around the head, and that connects the other sort of extremity. So you're connecting the extremities, and then you'll find that you might work with the arms next, and then or the wrists. You can work on the joints. The joints are really good to work on, okay, because that's where a lot of the fascia flexibility is. And so you can, another one is, guys, if you haven't tried this one, is to, when you're doing build the ball, do it with fists, because the fascia will gather up and it'll pull it a bit tighter. The other one is to stand on the balls of your feet when you're doing a standing posture, and that will also add another extension of tension, if you will. Rather than having flat feet, then you put them up, and then you are stretching the fascia in there. And you'll also, if you're building the ball, right, standing, and then you move up onto the balls, you'll feel the flux as it changes. So MG, I hope that's of some value to you. But essentially, like I said, you will feel it. You just got to keep doing it. But there's ways to sort of speed up the felt process. If you start at the mental level, eventually it'll bleed down where you'll start feeling it. But if you start with building the ball, that will help to sort of add the tangible, palpable, felt aspect of the exercise. Oh, well done, Mike. That's awesome, man. Yeah, sometimes new versions will get released, or they'll just appear out of nowhere. And sometimes it's an absolute desert. So if you can get them, awesome. Yeah, poor breathing is like a crucial skill. Crucial skill. It's going to be, because what you're doing is, right, and another way of looking at it is that you're schooling these three bodies: your mental, astral, and vital bodies, and each one of them has a sort of an outward perimeter. It extends so far. Your mental body extends the furthest, your astral, and then your vital body. And what you're doing is that you're putting your mind outside of those bodies. So you're training your mind, or your awareness, to be outside of its usual sort of located position. And by feeling things on the outside of your body and bringing them on yourself through pore breathing, like pore breathing in the elements, you're putting your awareness outside. And so it serves a number of purposes. But pore breathing is you almost putting your mind on just on the outside of your body. You're extending your awareness from generally the nervous system, the very physical shell confinement, and you're extending it around. You're awakening your global receptivity, or your global perception, and then you're incrementally, step by step, introducing satisfyingly experiential phenomena by the vital force. I'm feeling it move in and out around the casing of my head. Now I'm going to do my arms. I'm kind of feeling that the membrane of the skin is tugging on the vital force, and then flexing on the out. So yeah, if you follow Barden, it starts off being quite mental, and then it'll bleed down. But going out into a forest, like where there's lots of vital energy. I did another live on this a little while back. It's got tree qigong in there, mental transference and also harvesting available vital force, because it's got to be satisfying. You got to be like, yeah, something is going on. Like, I am happy. I have a conviction growing based on actual things happening, not I'm just doing some kind of mental gymnastics and deluding myself. There is something happening here. Yeah, you can reprogram your body, guys. A lot of the current day maladies and problems is because of the parts of your body aren't communicating with each other correctly, and one of those is sugar. It really disrupts the ability for the cells to communicate with each other. I tell you what, you make some dietary changes, do some research, make some dietary changes. Your life's just going to get better. Everything's just going to get easier. You're probably doing or engaging in certain activities, food choices, lifestyle choices, relationship and social choices. You're putting a choke collar around your neck, or you got putting weights on that you don't need. They're not going to contribute to the value. If anything, that you go back to those things and then you test your muscles out. But you want success, because if you're not experiencing success, you'll probably lose interest. Is this going somewhere? I've invested 6 months, a year, 2 years in this. It's not going anywhere. Why would you continue? Because somebody said that it works? You need to validate this for yourself. But there's intelligent approaches. There's lots of teachers who are saying you can do it this way, or you can do it this way. Now, you've got to remember that in Barden's book, in IIH, it does invite creative license. It invites you to be creative with the exercises, especially with the intuition. The visualization and the concentration exercises. He gives you the basic principle sort of exercise, and then it's like, well, how can we take this further? And it's funny because in some areas he's given exceptional kind of explanation and description, and then in other cases it's like it might be considered quite vague. And I'm just going to see if I can clean that up a bit. No, that's not working. Okay. So the Barden book is a standalone, but it's very helpful to get input from the modern translations and teachers. You're going to have to figure it out. Oh, wonderful, Agatha. I'm glad. You've got to come at this from a bunch of angles. Like I said, you want to be satisfied, but pore breathing is essentially a form of like qigong, in that you are breathing in the vital energy, and you're going to feel it inside you, within the physical body shell, the casing, if you will. That's the most physical end. Then you've got the vital level, which is the energetic layer just above that, and then the astral layer, which is just above that, and the mental layer, which is above that. And so as you pull the vital energy in, the aliveness or the vitality has a feeling about it, and you'll pull it in, and if you condense it, you'll just start feeling more aliveness within yourself. How would you conceptualize the idea of vitality or aliveness? Would it be sparkly, fizzy? Oh my gosh, what if you have some sugar or a coffee or an energy drink? It's not a direct translation, but you're going to be, woohoo, look at me. But then there's an aliveness that's true to that doesn't rely on some kind of chemical input or substance-based input. This is a natural, harvestable resource. It's completely natural. For all my Christian friends out there that are struggling with the concept of qigong, just call it something else. If you've got a religious background that inhibits you from looking into sort of like working with things, like just ask yourself, is this helping me? Is this helping my tradition? And I'm not saying to completely go against convention, but I mean, look, we're Hermeticists, so this is evidence-based practice, you know. But there's a lot of people I know who are sort of stopping themselves from leading a really good life, because there's words getting in the way. Imagine if gravity was evil. That's a natural force, if we want to call it that. It's a natural thing. You drop something, it just falls, right? People take advantage of that for all sorts of things. We work with it to create a lot of the technology that we use. Vital force it's just a thing. It's not that special, as Bob says. These things are available. They were much more commonplace in the past than what we've been sort of currently led to believe. It's just fallen out of the public view because of dominating groups, essentially. Yeah, exactly. That's why I say, if you get the mental version of it, you see a thing moving in and out, but you're not necessarily going to feel that. Over time, it'll bleed down once you sort of like, it'll naturally connect, right? So I'm sort of going against what Troy Later is saying here, but you've got to come at this from a bunch of angles, because, I've worked with teaching people as a music teacher who had a lot of different, there's lots of different learning styles. Some people are going to learn better touching things, seeing things, hearing things, with graphics, with words and things like that. So you've got to try a range of things. But yeah, try what Troy Later says. But you do want to, the ultimate goal is that you feel it. You're like, oh my gosh, there is a very tangible sensation. There's something happening here which I cannot deny. Okay. And there's the feeling of the skin moving, and then there's the feeling of the energy as it interacts with your internal landscape at a vital, astral, and mental level. And as you pull it into one of those levels, it'll start breaking through into the other ones. You'll start finding that, your astral body and your mental body will suddenly have more headroom or room to move or capability. You've got more juice, whereas before everything was running on the smell of an oily rag or with minimal resources, and so it's only going to, activate. It's only going to prioritize. Sorry, it's going to prioritize resource allocation based on necessity. Once you start pulling more of the available natural gas and juice, if you will, in, these other sort of latent atrophied functions, or these things that we've forgotten or that are just hidden below the surface, they're going to start getting some activation. That's a good one too. Nice one. Yeah, okay. So what you can do is, okay. So here's an add-on. That energy, you're going to give it an intention that's going to vitalize you as part of the evidential validation, right? So what I'm saying here is that, right, I'm going to go out and do some pore breathing, okay? And I'm going to breathe in vitality, and I'm breathing in vitality, and I'm giving it an idea. I'm going, what would vitality feel like? I'd feel alive. And you start feeling that, and you'll feel that once it pulls through the pores, it'll start flavoring your internal environment, the space, with an energized sensation. Now, you don't need to know whether that's vital, astral, or mental at this point. We're just bringing in vital energy because, to function with these things, there's an increased cost. We have to develop ourselves. That's why the body training stuff is just gold. You're adding more infrastructure and more supportive framework and more, sort of bigger pipes and bigger sails, because you could think of the fascia. all right, or the mechanical end or the physical end is being the fascia of the facial web of the body is like a set of sails. And the sails, if you had like a rabbit wire fence, that's not going to catch any wind. You need to close the gaps up. And so what happens is that as you tense and flex and play with your Tai Chi and your Qigong and work around, building the ball. Do I keep my fingers like this? Do I keep them like that? Do I relax them? You've got to explore the range of tension that each one of the joint to joint kind of, mechanisms, if you will, offer. How much tunability have I got? From here to here. Somewhere in there is the perfect flexion or torsion to be able to pick up the life force. And so training Tai Chi when you're standing up and you get your whole body involved in it, the sails that can catch that wind and ride it, and you can feel yourself being moved around by it. And you can also lean on it. You can drop down and it will cradle you. All of this is going to compound your conviction that this is a real thing. And you will make greater progress because you're compounding success. You'll be like getting your book out and going, while this is happening, you'll be like sitting in some life force going, I am actually sitting in life force. I am sitting in life force. I can feel it. It feels like this. Okay, cool. Yep. So, yeah, I mean, I have to have a look. I mean, I'm not an expert on sort of Chinese systems, but yeah, I think from a Tai Chi perspective, if that's what I'm guessing you're coming from, brother. Yeah, I mean, being able to listen, to be able to put your awareness outside your body, so you can pick up on subtle incoming data, and yeah, you're also going to strengthen that layer that certain energetic sorts of missiles will just bounce off. But also, what you're doing is that you're front loading and condensing the energy so that existing systems are being trained to expand their capacities for operation, not just quantitatively but qualitatively. We're awakening new sense gates, and it needs fuel. But thank you for that, Will. Oh, that's a classic one. Yeah, yeah. Breathing out the black smoke and breathing in the white smoke. So you're setting up like a visual gimmick, if you will. And the reality is far more malleable um, than what people think. This is a programmable type of OS, if you will, from the Akasha upwards. You can build a system. It's going to generally follow certain principles, but yeah. Hello, Ginger Grin. Thank you so much for joining us. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you got to try things, don't you? So one thing you're going to notice is that when you're working with subtle things, there's a contrast between what you might call the gross tactile sensations, the sort of the heavier things like, whacking the table. And then there's going to be more of the subtle things of the life force. And from the hard to the soft, there's going to be a continuum of basically gradations of intensity. Some things are going to, at the hard end, they're very hard, and at the soft end, they're very soft, and then in between, they get harder and softer, sort of thing, right? And so if you're wearing clothes, you're going to feel clothes. And so you've got to be able to learn how to switch your body off to an extent. That's why we practice the asana, the seated throne position, so that we can sit in an upright, flexed position where we're pulling flexing the spine open, pulling it open. And that's allowing that pipe to be nice and straight and taut. The fascia gets taut, and so the energy moves through. It's got a cleaner sort of path for throughput and direction. But yeah, I mean, look, you could try it a bunch of ways. Um, I mean, the other one is that you can do the like if once you've been building the ball, feel the energy. Oh, there it is. Oh, it's thick. It's thick. It's so good. Right. And then you start moving it up and around your arms and start awakening the sort of the tactile interface, if you will, receptive interface. But I find sometimes if I have a piece of clothing on, maybe it elicits a little bit of a static electricity response, but not quite. I will sometimes find that that will help to increase sensitivity if I have a piece of clothing over the top, especially if there's environmental situations, if it's really cold or if it's too hot, or well, I may not want to wear it when you're too hot, but you're trying to drill down into very subtle things, and so the less noise that's in the way, the better. And it means you have to get naked. Well, try it out. Let us know how you get on. I haven't really done it naked, but yeah, check out Robert Bruce. Rest in peace, brother. Rest in peace. Robert Bruce is great. Astral Dynamics. It's a book everyone should have. It's a rather thick tome, but it's got lots of good exercises in it. Yeah, perfect. That's it. We're training global sort of tactile awareness uh, of very subtle, nuanced things. And there's ways to do this, you know. Oh, there we go. Somebody's done it. Well done. Thank you for that. Just keep chipping away. Someone else is going to have had the same issue. And I tell you what, if any of you guys come across an issue that you've struggled with and then you overcome it, there's a video, there's a blog post, there's a podcast or whatever it is that you want. You jump on and you share it with others so we can all sort of help each other out. I just want to say to everyone, don't forget, please go and check out my Substack. Where are we? Where's the Substack gone? Not that one, that one. Because as far as someone like myself who sort of seems to be moving into this a bit more full time goes, it's great. That Substack's great. I know it's a bit of a leap. You have to go outside of a familiar platform, but they're very friendly. They're very nice people. There's also some of the most intelligent conversation you'll find. Yes, it's no holds barred. There's basically no censorship on this platform. There are community standards, but they're a lot more flexible than some of the other platforms. But yeah, video, audio, blogs, written things. If you go up and sign up for a subscription, you get the free one. Sweet. That's great. I'm so grateful for any direct connection that we can have, going through the gatekeepers of Facebook and YouTube and all that. They're useful and I'm grateful for them. But this one here, Substack, philrice.substack.com, like up here, we can stay connected there. And if you want to support the channel, there is also a paid option. It's about $1 a month, and that goes back into this channel. So I bought the green screen. Thank you, everyone. The next one I'm going to get, it's taken me a while to get this one. It's about $50 New Zealand a month, and I can get rid of this Eevee Mux logo, and I get a whole bunch of other new toys that I can play with as well. And so I can keep increasing the quality of this live stream dojo, guys. Because how do you like this setup as opposed to, say, previous ones? I've got this cool backdrop. Yeah, I know it's AI. I've got, I can make myself bigger and smaller. I can have these things up the top. I can bring on educational things and images, and there's some interactive things I can bring in too, which are pretty fun. The other one is I can add a poll, which you can click on either in YouTube and that, so we can do a vote on something. But yeah, I'm trying to, this initiation into Hermetics journey is so awesome. And it's what a lot of people are looking for. They haven't realized the value of it yet because they haven't found it, and maybe they haven't had the right person explain it to them. You don't have to use the book to become a magician. You can use it to be a doctor or a lawyer or anything. a builder, a janitor. It's really like just a personal sort of self-induced evolution. You can use it to become a magician if you want. I mean, it is kind of like that. Magician is a word that conjures up. Do you like that? Conjures up all sorts of interpretations, depending on who you ask. But yeah, please go check out my Substack, guys. I'm really enjoying making this content. I've had to sort of spread myself out a bit further over a few other things too, to sort of keep it alive and interesting, and also sort of help spread my my presence a little bit. I'm learning about social media and all these types of things, and it's a lot of fun, and the technology is a lot of fun too. But man, it is so much work, guys. I'm still getting used to spending time in front of the computer, to be honest, like this amount of stuff, especially the kind of concentrated work like the video editing and that. I've had a break from that, but I need to get back into it. So that'll be coming up. Okay, and of course you can book me. I've been doing readings and stuff. One of my specialties is that I've been a Reiki practicer for about 10 years, and I've got a pretty good scholarship experience and also academic wise on the topic, and that'll be coming out more in the blogs as well. I've just dropped another Reiki blog that's a paid one, so you got to buy the coffee a month subscription to get that, but I'm telling a bit of my story there. But yeah, you can jump onto philrice.setmore.com, and that one, I don't know if I'm on there actually, but yeah, so that's another one. And of course, we've got the Bard-In coming up tomorrow, and I'm just repeating myself a bit for people that are new. And the other thing I've set up a link underneath in the YouTube description, and let's say I don't want to sign up for a monthly thing, Phil, but keen to hook you up, and I don't want to use the YouTube mechanisms of super chat and memberships, mate. I totally understand. I've just got those active because some people like that. We'll see how it goes. But I've got a Stripe thing here. Like I said, the next thing I'm looking for is getting the software upgrade so I can get rid of that and get some new toys to play with. Haven't got it for tomorrow, unfortunately. Wasn't able to raise enough for the Bard-In, so the guests are going to have to put up with it. I'm sure it'll be fine. But there's a Stripe button anyway. You can connect there, and you can just put in a single amount there if you want to help out. And I'm so grateful. Many of you guys have been so generous, and it's just been very helpful, very encouraging too. And and the other thing too is that as I sort of increase sort of the the availability of resources, then I can get some other softwares and things. The other thing I've got to get is a new computer at some point. This fellow's getting a bit old. All right, let's see. What do we got here? Oh, how interesting. You probably wouldn't want to do it in a paint factory either. I do element pour breathing, but that's me being specific. I'm not taking in the environmental chaos. I'm honing in on an aspect of it, which is, say, the air element or the water element. So yeah, but no, that's a good thing to consider. Yeah. Yeah, I've tried Muntuck chair stuff, and I've got to say, I haven't really found it that valuable. So if you can point towards a specific teaching, I like his theory conversations about when you reach certain points in life, you may need to attend to certain different areas because your needs change. But I have enjoyed watching a lot because I've watched a lot of Muntuck chair and I've read a lot of it. But I don't know. I just sort of haven't really found the value in it yet. But only because it's quite overwhelming, the amount of material. That's what I came across anyway. So please, if you've got any suggestions, Kalahakiti, please, for books or reads, just put them in there. Like if you know like a really good banging Muntuck Chia book or a video, please share it in the link, and I'll check it out. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Agatha. Awesome. I think, that's so, I'm so grateful, and I'm glad that you're getting some value. Yeah, my phone's pretty old, and the Substack app works on it. But yeah, it's not too bad. Substack app. I'm glad you enjoy it. Yes, thank you. If you could like, subscribe, comment, share, um, hit the notification bell, all those types of things. Any of that stuff's helpful, guys. I know you. I know a lot of you guys really enjoy what I do here, and so all these little things help. I mean, pandering to the algorithm, it's not something I'm really going to put a lot of effort into. If anything, it's more about dodging the stuff that gets you switched off. It's funny though, like some videos I've put up on maybe spicier topics have certainly not got the reach that the other videos have got. I'm not just talking about inside my existing subscriber base, but I'm just talking about what YouTube, who YouTube puts it in front of. How many people on that? Some people are, I think they're being targeted personally. But yeah, I just wanted to also show you guys something while I'm here. For those of you that haven't discovered this, whether you like him or love him, here's the grahamhancock.com website. He's got this news desk, and it's got this really, really great. It's like a news feed of all this like alternative knowledge, like 1.4 million year old jawbone reveals new human relative. And some of these will be from reasonably what you might call mainstream websites, and some of them would be from more alternative websites. But these are really interesting things. I find them to be. Humpback whale song shown to be structurally similar to human language. How interesting, maybe. Ancient engravings shed light on early human symbolic thought and complexity in Levantine Middle Paleolithic. Oh, here we go. Particle accelerator and AI offer first peek inside 2,000-year-old Herculaneum scroll. I used to be able to pronounce this stuff really easy. I must be getting old. AI to revolutionize fundamental physics and could show how the universe will end. Man, they love this. We know it's going to end. Get nervous now. Get worried. Everyone panic. Ah! Little known psychedelic drug reduces motivation to take heroin in rats studies. Okay. This is a really cool website because you can just basically pick a couple of topics here. And you could just run a YouTube off basically talking about any one of these things and then just cross-referencing it. As if you wanted to do like a news type channel. Interstellar sails are a step closer. Asteroid Bennu contains the seeds of life. Hand axes discovered in Iraqi desert may go back 1.5 million years. And that's from phys.org. That's like a mainstream site. Moon is not geologically dead as previous thoughts. Oh, isn't that? Let's have a look at this one. No, okay. It's not saying there's any trees on the moon here. Well, that wouldn't be geological, but there are. It's talking about movement, younger movements and older movements, and structures and things. How interesting. Um, hmm. Something to think about, especially if you're doing like the ball above head stuff for Barden's KTQ, or you're doing it with the I Ching, or you're doing it with Sanskrit letters, or you're doing it with the Reiki symbols, or you're doing it with da 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 da. Is that you can essentially put this stuff above your head and then pay attention to it, and then yeah, 5 elements, versus the 5 elements, wood, metal, water, earth, fire, different systems. In Japan, I've part of my Kotodama studies ongoing talks about. So, for those of you that don't know what Kotodama is, it's essentially Japanese Kabbalah. They have it's the spirit of the word, and so each of the Japanese vowels are, I can't remember which order it goes in. I think it goes a, e, u, I, o, or something. It's not like a, e, I, o, u in the English version. It's slightly different, similar but different. But essentially, each one refers to each one is a mother letter. A is for space, which we might call air. E is fire, okay, which we would call akasha, which is our E is for akasha in Barden system. I is earth, which is also an earth element in Barden system. O in this system is water. Now in Barden it is earth, but if you think about the way the Japanese pronounce o, a, e, I, o, ka, ke, ki, ko, Tokyo, o. It's got a fullness at the front of the mouth there. That leans into the w or the v in Barden's system for pronouncing a water element letter of the letter W. However you sort of find yourself pronouncing it. And then U, which in Barden's system refers to the black akasha, almost like the ultimate form of akasha, the base substrate. That is called the void in Japanese, kotodama. Kotodama. Ka-a. Kabbalah. Ka-a. Interesting. And just finding how they relate, how they cross over, and how they don't. They have, I think, 52 or 54 letters in their system, or syllabic letters or syllables that they work with. And obviously that's more than the 27 or the 22, whatever, but there is a similarity, but there's also some significant differences too. But yeah, like exploring the different systems and seeing what you notice and having a way, like a common way to, like you have your laboratory desktop and you put the Barden letters on, and then you explore and then you take them off. And then you put the Chinese letters on, or the 5 element system on, and you take them off. And then you put the Japanese system on, and then you put Hebrew on, and you put Sanskrit on. But you have the same way of exploring these things to detect distinctive differences. This one felt like this one felt like this, or this one sounded like this, or this one came across like this type of thing. Don't be shy, guys. Put your questions in the chat. Here I am. And don't forget, guys, tomorrow, for those of you that are keen to come and hang out, we have our live panel with a range of practices largely centered around the works of Franz Barden, not so much pure Barden, because, this is more, it's Barden oriented, and it is Barden centric, but it's also Barden complementary. And so we have a range of people, and we've got David Paul Coleman, the notable astrologer and magician teacher, and we have Philip Harris Smith, alchemist, Barden practicer, and blogger, and David's also got an incredible blog too, and I'll put all those up tomorrow. And then we also have the lovely Didi and Armand from Chi Skills, who are going to be covering Tai Chi, Qigong, Chinese 5-element food. There'll be talks of yoga. We'll be talking about all sorts of stuff. But essentially, this first Bard in for the year will be. I'm going to ask a question that I've already asked of the panel before, and that is, how to get started. Because a lot of us, at the beginning of the year, We may be looking at refreshing our practice. And so, yeah, let's hit the ground running here and let's sort of help each other get back into practice mode if we've had a break from it, or if we're kind of our commitments sort of fallen off a little bit or anything like that. Get back into doing the hard yards, getting into it, and just getting that momentum going. Where you show up each day, and it's natural. You just kind of get pulled out of bed in the morning, and you go and brush yourself down, wash yourself down, have a stretch, make a cup of tea or a coffee or something like that, and sit down. Or you don't. You sit down and just do them all. Do your exercise set vanilla, or maybe you're doing the proficiency stacking where you're just like, I'm following the book to the word. I'm going to nail this. Okay, tick, next, tick, and fine, perfect. But yeah, this panel's really just kind of like a cruisy, get back into the motion of things. I mean, but this is essentially to bring together a panel of people with common questions. So bring your questions tomorrow, please. This panel's really more set up for audience questions, because sure, I've got questions, but I have no doubt that you guys are going to have questions, and we have some amazing people, very well experienced, from different who have other complementary modalities that their Barden feeds into, and also feeds into their Barden work. So, and it's not the one I want. Yeah. So. Okay. Thank you for that. I think I have actually read that. Yeah. I've got to say, I've kind of pulled in a little bit with my practice, because I used to do lots of different things, but I still explore the other systems, not so much to practice them, but more to understand them. I've just found that exploring through the Barden lens has just helped me to make sense, especially of Reiki. Like if anyone's a Reiki practicer or interested in getting into Reiki, you want to get a copy of this, or his newest book, the newest book by Franz Steiner. This book here is just gold. It's an older book, but it's so well researched. So well researched. And it does mention the Kiko, or what you might call the Japanese Qigong. But it's, that he hasn't quite sort of, the exercises are laid out. But even the newest book, The Way of Mikao Usui, that's definitely a good one. That's got a lot of the Kotodama stuff in it. G'day, Tim. How are you, brother? Thank you so much for joining us here. Always a pleasure to see you, sir. Are the shards of the... Oh, okay. I generally just don't even look into that particular arena. I stay in the top part. When I'm called to adventure into that, then I will. And I've read some pretty spicy stuff in my time. I've got a digital library that would probably scare the crap out of a lot of people. And yeah, as far as that topic goes, I'm just looking for the pearls everywhere, all the best tuning forks. These other things, these lower or more. I'm not talking smack about them, because they're a part of the negative is a part of the reality that we live in, but it's more like seeking the utility at a functional kind of everyday practical level, sort of where I'm at now. But even in the kingdom where we are, there's going to be things that appear negative, but they still have their use, and they're still functional, and they're part of the whole. So I'll just kind of put that one there, Tim. But yeah, when I get the call, and I know that I will at some point this lifetime or the next one, I'll be probably having to be more involved in that conversation. And I have gone into that conversation, and it's been a while, but yeah, mindful of what I expose myself to, especially as I move through these sensitive things, especially to doing healing work and that. Like, you got to maintain a certain level of hygiene and protection when exploring things too. You know, so yeah. There's always going to be, we're always going to, if we're true and honest with ourselves, we're always going to see the negative and the positive and the positive and the negative, and however we choose to frame that and however that comes across. But if we're seeking just to elevate, for things to grow in a benevolent direction, in a healthy, helpful direction, that's a good focus. And then when we see something crappy going on, we go, well, you know, or something's crappy, and it's like, okay, well, how does that serve? Seeking to understand how something serves. That is the most functional way of looking at the negative stuff, right? And man, the planet's replete with just crummy, what would appear to be crummy things. But yeah, like classifying things via the Kabbalistic terminology. I'm not going to mention that word just because, there's an invocation that can take place, and I just won't. But yeah, hopefully, yeah, that's a good way of looking at it, Tim. Perfect. Yeah. There's lots of funky things out there looking for attention, and some of them just need their name mentioned, or just for you to rest your mind on them and give them your mental energy. That's the thing, guys. The old energy flows where attention goes. But your mental energy you'll form a bridge with things that you pay attention to, and then you can form an astral bridge once you get more engaged and involved with it, type of thing. And so there's a two-way thing going on there, and sometimes what you get back ain't worth it. Not at all. There's some things that are just not worth entering into encountering. There's some things you just don't need to do. But yeah, I think the amount of literature that's available out there, people are going to have different opinions on things, and mine is my own. I was listening to someone talk about this recently. You could say in some ways that even Barden is a type of a left-hand path, because we are kind of. It's not. It's not that the left. There's this different ways of looking at that LHP, and even the RHP and the middle pillar and all this. They're just kind of ways of. They're a little bit too loaded to even use the terms, because they just generally evoke certain types of responses that can sort of block further communication. So if I just pull it away and go, look, my understanding is this. Why do you think the creator, the ultimate, decided to create something else apart from itself? Was it bored? Was it wanting friends? Was it wanting to see what it could do? These are good kinds of considerations. Now, there's many ways up the mountain. If the mountain is the complete reabsorption into the ultimate, like the ultimate final home, if you will, there's ways to get back there. One way I've heard about the left-hand path is that it's sort of like finding God in the lowest places, the lowest of places. But that's not the entirety of that, I think that, on either side, you've got scales of intensity of, there's a positive and the negative, and a negative and the positive sort of thing. When you're playing the role of the magician, and you're looking to, get things on the table, if you will, and so you can use them. If you understand universal lawfulness and operate between inside the parameters of lawfulness, then you're pretty good. You understand cause and effect, and not to, you're not in the sand pit in somebody else's sand pit, mucking up their creations. You're learning to play with the rules. And that also includes, there's some here that are meant to cause chaos and disruption. I'm not into that personally. I would get no joy out of that. I like seeing people prosper and grow and do well. And I'm certainly not perfect by any means, but I think I'm getting better, a little bit at a time. Now, you can be a living God. There's plenty of masters who are here. But essentially, what are you going to do with that power? Are you going to seek to become a benevolent helper? Or are you just going to, because you can submit to hire something to a deity on the hierarchy. You could do that on both sides. There's energetic only things looking for expression here on the physical, guys. And yeah. All right, now I think the software is going to kick me off shortly. Another good reason to nudge you guys and say, hey, you fellas, why don't you support the channel at philrice.substack.com, buy a coffee a month, or put a Stripe donation in, or I don't know, hire me for a reading or something like that. That's more for my personal stuff. Everything goes back into the channel pretty much. I don't know. I really like this. This is a fun way of interacting with people. It's nice to reach groups. It's fun. I used to love playing in front of large groups of people and teaching classes and band coaching and things like that. I started studying tarot last year and I found myself getting sucked in trying to see the future at the expense of being present. I had to pull back a bit. Yes, this is really important. So what happens is if you refer to if you refer to the tarot too much too often, the results can the sacredness or the focused kind of aware things can become a bit more trivial. It loses its sort of concentrated essence and it becomes that, seriously, if you want to do a tarot reading or a set of readings, you want to write down your questions first, maybe do a bit of writing first. This is just a suggestion if you want to, make use of it. You want to start pulling yourself into a concentrated zone. You can just flick cards out. Okay, let's pull a card out. All right. There we go. Page of Pentacles. Beautiful. And we could just say blah, 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 blah. Awesome. Or, you get your books out and you go, okay, what does that mean? You're going to find over time you develop your own relationship with the cards anyway. But yeah, you can get a bit sucked in, like you said, and there could be a dependency or an OCD kind of itch. So what you do is you just got to develop a healthy relationship with them, and that is, pardon me, excuse me, reading books and getting different perspectives, and just picking a time of the week or a time of the day where you sit and you do your reading and set it up, do some writing and talk about what you want to get some answers to and plan it out, and then you sit there and maybe go into prayer or meditate and light a candle and a stick of incense and make it a special thing. And it'll be far more meaningful and valuable. That's why the I Ching is great, because there's a process involved, especially with yarrow sticks. There's a sort of a long form thing. All right. Okay, guys. This is perfect, Tim. Perfect. Well, I'm going to say thank you, everyone. Pretty much out of time here. Grateful to you all. Thank you for the wonderful people who have made this situation with the green screen and everything possible. This live stream is going to end in 2, 1. See you later. Oh, it's still going. How interesting. It was supposed to cut off. Oh, no, it's going to end shortly. Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have yourselves a beautiful day, and we'll talk again very soon. All right. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the barred in, perhaps. You guys are the best. Have a wonderful, amazing day, and I'll see you soon. Bye.